Hello, this is Dave Workman, and this podcast is provided by Workman Associates. And today we're talking to Natasha Walters, owner of the yoga studio down in Logansport. Natasha's been a long time person in Logansport, but I thought I'd get her in here today because she's one of the young business entrepreneurs in town that's making a difference. And so, Natasha, welcome to our studio. And why don't you just tell folks real briefly a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get some questions concerning the studio itself.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good to be here. I am the owner and operator of Bodyworks Studio. We have two locations, one in Logansport and one in Monticello, both in downtown in those communities right across from the courthouse. We offer primarily yoga, stress management, meditation, and nutrition classes. And we do a lot of work within building local food systems and small farms. We work with small farms trying to get locally produced food into the hands of consumers.
That is really interesting. Now, you wouldn't think that from a yoga studio. So tell me, let's talk about nutrition.
Sure.
What all does that involve for you?
Mm-hmm. Nutrition, we look at it from a holistic perspective. So not only do we consider the food we eat important, but the way that we show up in the world. So for us, in terms of nutrition, there's primary food, which we consider primary food, all of the things that really feed us on a soul level. Our activities that we do, our relationships with the people in our lives, our career, our spirituality, all of the things that affect how we eat. And so then we call the actual food that we eat secondary food, because all of the primary food characteristics really affect how we show up in terms of how we take care of ourselves.
So how do you teach someone like me that? I mean, do you show me meals to eat? Do you show me how to prepare food? Do you show me how to buy the food?
We can do that, but typically we start with lifestyle. And look at the different things that might be preventing you from having the time, the energy, the resources from already doing that. Because chances are most people know. We know what we need to be eating to be healthy.
Okay.
Not always. You know, there's definitely education that we all can receive, and nutrition is constantly evolving in what we're finding out to be true and healthy. But in most cases, it's more lifestyle factors that are preventing us from really taking good care of ourselves.
So if someone comes in like myself, do they take a survey? Do you ask them questions? How do you nail down the fact that I'm spending X number of hours in unhealthy situations when I could be using it for a better quality of life?
Yeah, if someone approaches us and wants, outside of yoga, if someone comes in for yoga, then we figure out what class is going to be good for you.
So let me ask you a question. So what class is good for me? So obviously you have more than one class. Could you go over your yoga classes real quick, or as much as you want?
Yeah, I mean, we have a big range of yoga classes, ranging from classes where you need to be in a chair if you're unable to get down onto the floor, up and down from the floor comfortably. We teach from a chair.
Really?
All the way up to hot, vigorous, quick, and loud music, So
the whole
there's
gamut.
A whole range, yeah.
How many classes do you go through in a week usually?
We have 17 in our Logansport studio.
Really? And like, what hours are they? Are they? Do you have them all different hours?
We usually have a morning and a noon every day, and then an afternoon, evening, late afternoon, evening.
If somebody like myself wanted to come to a class at noon, do you have facilities where a person can change, or would they do it in the clothes that they wear to the studio?
Yeah, noon is very busy. So we have a changing room. It's probably our busiest class.
Really?
That we have is noon. And we have a changing room. Some people change before and come in, and others change while they're there.
And I want to get back to the nutrition, but the yoga, obviously, that's kind of the cornerstone of all that you do. Is that correct? Because that incorporates everything that you're trying to do with someone?
The philosophy of yoga takes people into all of the other things. So, the philosophy of yoga leads someone into living a lifestyle where they take care of themselves on all levels, and that's where the nutrition and the food system and the bigger picture comes in.
I see. So what my generation may think of yoga is just a bunch of chanting and stretching. Mm-hmm. It's much more holistic than that. It's kind of the epicenter of creating concentric circles of healthy lifestyle, healthy nutrition. So it builds the whole, and you're not just worrying about stretching out because your back hurts. I mean, that's just that might be a nice benefit from it, but it seems like what you're trying to do and have done is incorporate so much more. You had said something at the beginning of our program that was really interesting. You work with farms, did you say? Tell me about that, because that's really kind of interesting.
Yeah, one of the things that I found moving back here, because I lived in Chicago and I lived in Denver after college, and one of the things that I found is that we don't have a lot of access to healthy foods, healthy prepared foods. It's not as easy to live a healthy lifestyle as it is sometimes in other cities. So what I started doing initially was just going to the farmers market and talking to farmers and establishing relationships with them and beginning to understand the process of where the disconnect was for them and the consumer. And that led me to develop relationships where we just are bringing the food directly to our people and making it more convenient. So
how do you do that? Like do you have freezers and refrigerators in your locations?
We have minimal, which is something that we aspire to expand, because that would help us expand our operation. Farmers drop off, and we schedule a drop off and we schedule a pickup.
Really?
And then we have some things that we keep on site. But
I had no idea that took place.
Yeah.
I mean, now, do you work with other organizations in town in any capacity?
We work with, you mean like other organizations?
Yeah, do you work with the Y? Do you work with the hospital? I mean, it would seem like you and the hospital would just have a very symbiotic relationship where that they have nutrition people. You're helping to nutrition. Do you work with any organizations like that?
Not too much.
Not yet.
Yeah,
huh?
we're still building. I think we're still building the infrastructure because we're growing now. Yeah. We're growing vegetables now, so we're building a base with the intention of eventually connecting the dots with what's happening. We do work. I guess the organization that I work most closely with is the juvenile prison, the
really?
Sport Corrections Facility.
That is great. I had no idea. Now, do you work with them nutrition-wise? Do you work with them yoga-wise?
Yeah, so we run a yoga program there.
That's really cool.
An 8-week program before they go back into society, so right before they're released. And then I'm a volunteer for the Insight Garden program, which is a program that works with meditation, mindfulness, and permaculture principles and gardening. And that runs as part of their curriculum, so they meet twice a week. It's a selective program, so the kids that are in this program are the young men that are in the program are selected to be in it. And they have a garden, and we have a curriculum that we run that teaches them skills like me to we. It teaches them to understand that they can become a part of a bigger system of change through sustainable food system, through growing, and how to really to be a good, solid human being through these practices. It's an amazing program, and it's one of 3 in the world, and it's coming out of Berkeley, California. A lot of people don't know it's happening here.
No.
But we're trying to solidify and grow this.
That's really excellent. Because I'm a big believer, too, if you can help some of these juveniles now and make them members of society instead of incarcerating them.
Right.
The goal is to make them, and that I'd never heard that before.
Yeah. So we're the other cool thing about this is that we're starting to talk about to the adult programs here and the work race programs here about, how can we take this and this program and bring it to the adults. And one of the big problems that farmers have is labor. And so is there a possibility that we could do this rehabilitation through farming, through mindfulness, through yoga, and then be able to leverage the local food system so that more people are buying locally, and then we're creating more jobs, and then the people who are going through these rehabilitation programs can be connected right into.
That's real. So do you deal just with organic farmers, or do you deal with anyone that's in the farming community?
So we work. Organic's a big word to understand.
Agreed.
Currently, we work with a farm called B&B Organics. It's not a farm; it's an organization, small business in northern Indiana that's bringing only organic. So they only work with certified organic farmers, and we're doing that through the winter. And I had a challenge getting myself to the point where we would do that because it's not local. So it's, they're bringing organic produce in, and our mission is to build the local food system.
Right.
But the reality is Logansport doesn't have access to organic foods, especially in the winter, the way even Monticello does. We
That's
don't
really
have it
interesting.
here. So we're doing that for now, but then once the growing season starts, then we'll work more with people who are growing locally.
Mm-hmm. And then try to get that through the winter, eventually.
That would be great.
So if this is interesting because I had no idea where this interview was going to go, and it went to a direction that I didn't even know was going to go or existed. So if you wanted to tell anyone that would listen to this, 1, 2, or 3 things about your yoga studio, whether it's in Logansport or Monticello, what would you tell them? What would you encourage people? Because obviously there's physical, mental benefits to yoga. What would you try to encourage people to do?
Sure.
To take advantage
Sure.
of the Walters Yoga Studios?
Well, I think the biggest piece of yoga, the biggest benefit is stress. Yoga is understanding the processes of our mind. So our culture just isn't designed for us to take great care of ourselves. And so coming into it and getting in the right yoga class, I guess that would be the second thing. But, the first thing is just taking a clear look at your life, and does it reflect how you want to be living?
Kind of to admit that there's a problem. I mean, to admit, hey, there's something more than the 9 to 5 grind. And
there could be something.
Yeah, there could be something more. Could there be?
How
Could
are
there
you
be?
feeling? Yeah, and there can be a contentment level of I'm good, But if in most cases people have something that you're desiring, that's just the nature of life, and so yoga can help open up that door. But like I said, you have to get into the right class. So
But that's why you're there. That's why you're there.
We're there to, usually people will call us and say, how much do your classes cost?
Mm-hmm.
And we never go there because, first of all, we make our classes available and accessible to anyone. If you can't afford it, we figure out a way to make it affordable. That's the advantage of being a small business. So that's not really what we want to talk to people about. We want to hear, what are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Because then we can guide you in a way. In terms of overall health, I feel we really do have the tools to help someone in pretty much any area. The only thing that we don't work with is if somebody has nerve pain. There are certain situations physically that we can refer people out to doctors,
Right.
rather than that's beyond the scope of what we do.
Well, I'll tell you, you've opened up a lot of doors that I think people should. What I've tried to do here is I've tried to highlight local businesses that people may not have an idea about. I mean, you've got good traffic where you're at. People can see it. The Walters name's been around here for a long, long time, but yet you've got some different classes that it sounds like, whether you're a teenager or someone in their 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, that they could take advantage of and help. Mm-hmm. And so if people wanted to contact you, how do they contact you? I mean, do they just walk in? Is that allowed?
Walking in becomes a little more challenging in our business model because we're not like a regular business where we're there. So
Makes sense.
email, generally people email us or they call us.
Okay. And what is your email?
Our email is bodyworksyogastudio@gmail.com.
Okay, and we'll try to put that on our site. And before we close, is there anything else that you wanted to really say? This is why I think you might want to give it a try, or is this something that we're trying to do for Logansport, or anything you want?
You know, I think the other big piece for us, we love to work with high school students and college students. And that was a big piece for us this year. We had 5 interns this summer in our gardening program.
Really?
Our program's called Soil, so it's all about building a solid base.
So you're talking about the gardening aspect more so than just the yoga aspect.
Gardening and also just building skills. You know, we help them with marketing and they help us. You know, so really bringing, my favorite thing about this internship program, and this is through the Chamber of Commerce. We've done this this will be our 4th or 5th year that we've done this, but you know, bringing people who are, you know, college students who have gone outside of Logansport, bringing them back and showing them that they have the skills to bring something back here, because
That's
I think
awesome.
it's so important that we get people coming back.
Right, because a lot of people aren't going to come here as a destination unless they've been here before. No, you know, it's interesting because I don't know how much you follow like professional sports, but the Pacers center last year, Miles Turner, really changed his body using yoga, and which I found interesting. And that's kind of where I thought we were going to focus today. But I mean, you I mean, you know, I was ready to play checkers in front of Cracker Barrel, and you threw the 3D chess thing on me here.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. I mean,
Yeah.
those things have to be trumpeted, because I believe in my heart, you know, people say, well, we just got to get good jobs. Well, we're not going to get Subaru here, okay, folks. But if we're not going to get what I call a bonfire. But if we get people like Natasha and other local businesses, what we do is we get a lot of campfires that can generate the same amount of heat and light, and then that's how you attract other people. So
Individual,
right, small business owners.
Yeah.
I mean so. Folks, I hope you're encouraged by this. I hope that she's said something that will allow you to ask her some questions, maybe be part of the program. Maybe you're going to be a young person listening to this, or maybe you have a young person you'd like to get involved in this. Give her a call, and I'll look forward. Maybe we'll have her come back sometime in 6-12 months and see how things are going. So, Natasha, thank you very much. You. It was very enlightening.
Thank you.
I learned a lot today, so thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.